Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to Son Coaches Podcast, Season 8, and today I have a very special guest joining me. You can't find a better man in the business. You're not going to find anybody in our business that has a bad word to say about him. He's an old head now. He's been a head coach for 20 years. He's built up some places that people said couldn't be done, and now he's the head coach at KIPP Atlanta. Coach Corey Jarvis, thanks for being on with me.
Thanks, Coach Lamb, for having me on. I definitely appreciate it.
So, Coach, where did you grow up?
I am a Grady baby, as we say in Atlanta. I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Product of Atlanta Public Schools, went to LP Miles and Harford High School. So I'm born and raised in Atlanta.
So what all did you play in high school?
In high school, I actually played football. I played soccer, basketball, ran track, and played baseball. So I did it all in high school pretty much.
Yeah, we try to get these kids these days to understand how important it is to play other things other than specializing, and it's hard for them to believe that we played it all when we were coming up.
Yeah, I think that's just the way we were raised. I tell people all the time. My mom used to wake me up at about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, say go outside and don't come back till the sun go down.
Yeah.
And I think I figured out every sport in the world I could figure to learn how to play that way.
Yeah, we were the same way. We were lucky if we got let in for lunch, but
Exactly.
you're like, get out the house.
Like that was every day during the summer, definitely.
And we've had college coaches coming in now during the recruiting season, and I don't know what they've asked you, but one of the first questions they've asked us is, what else do the kids play?
Oh yeah, that's huge. Like kids who are able to balance, multiple sports and, juggle all the things it take to be successful in those different sports. That's huge because I had, one of my scouts came in today, or a scout came in today, rather, to the school to recruit a couple of our kids, and he asked about the kid, and the kid runs track. The first thing you like, Coach, what does he run? I'm like, he runs 100 long jumps. He's a 10'6" kid. He's 23-foot long jumper. Like, Coach, where's the track coach? Track coach just so happened to be walking down in the hall. He's right here. Kid had, the coach had great things to say for the kid, and along with things I said, of course, the kid got an offer immediately. So to me, that's when kids are able to do multiple sports, that's huge.
Well, that and just getting your irons as many fires as you can.
Oh yeah,
if you're
definitely.
a good student and you play multiple sports and can do something else, it gives you just more opportunities down the road. So what did that
Definitely.
parlay into for you? Did you play college ball? Did you just go to school? What happened after high school?
Actually got a football scholarship to Albany State. I turned down and people laugh when I say this. I turned down a partial scholarship to Marshall University to play soccer. I actually got offered a partial scholarship to go there to play soccer, and chose to go to Albany State and play football. But at Albany State, I ended up running track and also playing baseball. My last 2 years, I played baseball. All 4 years, of course, I played football and ran track.
So did you know you were going to teach and coach all along, or did you get in the wrong line in college and end up teaching?
I always knew I was going to be a teacher and coach. Like my dad, God bless his soul, but he was a coach at College Park High School before he went into administration back in the days, and he was like, I was born to coach. I was coaching kids when I was a kid. Trying to tell them where they should line up at, or trying to put them in different places. And when I got in high school, I knew I wanted to teach. But I tell everybody that I was wanting to teach and coach college. So, I actually was a psychology major when I got to college. And I was going to teach psychology in college and coach college football. And I tell everybody that when I started getting deep into my psychology classes in my sophomore year, I started seeing some things that I didn't like about myself, and I was like, I think I might want to get out of this. And so one day I kind of went to my mentor, Judd Basato, and I asked him about health and physical education department, and he kind of pushed me into it. I was already one of his favorite guys because I was his mentor. And, me and him used to work out together along with a couple other football players at Albany State. And I became a health and PE teacher, and that's what I've been doing since.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's what you try to tell kids. Who knows what they're going to do? Who knows what
Right.
we're going to do? You go in, like my son's going. He's a senior right now. I know what I want him to do, but I've never pushed that mindset on him. I'm like, you can do what you want to do. You're going to do
Mhm.
something, but I don't really care what it is. But you ain't staying here forever.
Yeah, I
So
definitely agree with that. I got three daughters, two in college and one who's a junior in high school. The two that's in college, one's on the 10-year plan, the other one's graduating this year. And then I have my baby girl. She's the diva at the crew. So I keep telling her she's gonna have to find something to do when she get out of high school because she says she want to be like a real estate broker or whatever. I'm like, you better find some money because you're gonna get out my pocket.
that's right. I got to get y'all off the payroll.
Exactly.
Mine drove to church tonight, and we're still working on driving, and he hadn't really driven into town. And
Mm.
I know he was nervous. And I'm like, "Oh, you'll be okay." And the whole time I'm sitting there like, "Oh God, please get us to get us get us there in one piece." But he made it. He did all right. So, because
Good for him.
I'm like,
Good for
look,
him.
man, you got to get your driver's license because I ain't dropping you off at college now. You're gonna have to
Mm.
figure this out.
No,
So
that's
you're at
funny.
Albany State. You come out. What was your first job out of college?
Oh, my first job out of college was down in Crisp County in Cordell, Georgia. Oh man, the good old days. I worked for Clay Hill. Clay caught me coming out of college. I actually was trying to decide if I was going to go to Wilcox County down in Rochelle and work for Coach Clack or go to Cordell. And Clay convinced me the better place to go at the time was Chris County, and it was, I had some great times in those 6 years I was down in Cordell, and just learned a lot from Coach Hill from the standpoint of just knowing how to just be organized. He was a organized junkie. I hate to put it that way. I'd never seen someone who was that organized and just from the standpoint of timing, time management for what a kid should be, how they should look, how they should line up. It was just uh, I tell everybody it was a blessing because I took that part from him, the organization part, and I feel like that it made me a better teacher, but it also made me a better coach.
You got to hang out with Jimmy Hughes too, so that's pretty cool.
Oh my God, did I get to hang with Jimmy Hughes? That's my guy. I think about those days, me and him on that equipment truck riding from Cordell to the different places we went. And Jimmy Hughes was my guy. Got a chance to coach DBs, and Jimmy was coaching the linebackers, and we had some fun time down there at Cordell.
So after 6 years at Chris County, where did you go after that?
I had an opportunity to go to Mary Persons, OMP, and work up under Coach Pitts was actually retiring, and so Coach Chafin was, becoming the head coach, and I actually got a chance to work with Coach Chafin. But I tell everybody that my first year, I spent more time with Coach Pitts and Miss Pitts than I spent with my family because I literally ate dinner every day with Coach Pitts and picked his brain. And like I tell everybody that from the standpoint of organization, I learned it in Cordell, but just football, oh my God, to pick Dan Pitt's brain every day for a whole year, I learned so much about the things I thought I knew from playing and coaching, and it was just a great joy to kind of be around Coach Pitts and listen to him talk about defense and offense, the special team part. Because I took a lot of the stuff that I thought I knew for granted, and just he taught me you better cover everything from to the last person coming off the bench. If they don't know what to do, you're in trouble. And just the football scheme and schematics. Man, Coach Pitt was to me was the best football coach I ever been around. And then Coach Chafin, offensive wise, he was such a guru. I tell everybody from that just running the flex bone, the running the option. Like I tell everybody, like it was just the craziest thing to see how well the option worked. We didn't have the great players against some of the people that we played, but we had some good players. I can't say we didn't, but just to play against some folks, from Taquio Spikes and all those type of cats that play down at Washington County, man, just I just think about some battles we had in person. Just made my mind go back to MP. But like I said, just to hang around Coach Pitts and basically just pick his brain, and then like I said, with Coach Chafin from the offense side of the ball. And my first year, I actually just came in as a linebacker coach, and with our defense, being the shade 50, I coached the linebackers and the defensive ends. And that next year, Mike Hickman, who's the superintendent down in Monroe County now, he went into administration, so I ended up being the defensive coordinator. So my last 3 years, I was defense coordinator for Coach Chafin.
At MP.
Yeah, old Mary Persons.
So, so after your 3-4 years at Mary Persons, was it time to be a head coach then, or did we go do something else?
Yeah, I had several interviews from my last years at Cordell, and then I had a bunch when I was at Mary Persons, and I was I got that itch that last year. I remember Coach Chafin. I was like, "What you gonna do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna put my name out there." So I had a couple of interviews. Almost took the Glen Hills job in Augusta. Jesse Hicks talked me out of that.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
talked me out of there. Yeah, so that was actually the first job I was going to take. And when I decided not to, I was going to come back to Mary Persons the next year because Rodney Walker was coming in and he was going to be our AD and the linebacker coach, and I was going back with the DBs. And um, I was just tired of the interviews. I had been on about 7 or 8 interviews that year, and I got a phone call from Rodney saying you're going to get a phone call from Charlie Henderson, the AD in DeKalb County. And he told me uh, there was 2 jobs open. One was Towers, and the other one was Martin Luther King High School, junior high school. And I said, you know what? I don't want to go to Towers. I interviewed for the ML King job, and I was fortunate enough to get the Martin Luther King job because we had some great talent when I came up there to MLK.
So that was your first head coaching job.
Yes, it was my first one.
And how did that go?
Oh man, I tell everybody that it was the perfect storm for those. Like my first 4 years, it was some great times. I tell everybody that we had a true family type or atmosphere at MLK. From the teachers to the administration to the parents. It was just some fun times, and then of course we were winning and had some great players. And I tell everybody that the reason why I took the job at ML King, uh, my wife at the time, my mother-in-law rather stayed about 10 minutes away from MLK up Panola Road. And one day I decided to go on a Saturday to see the school because I had never seen the school because I interviewed at the board. And so I went to see the school, and it was a Saturday. And I go to where the practice fields was, and there was almost 100 kids out there working out. And I got the car and I kind of talked to this kid. I'm like, y'all play here at MLK? Like, yeah. Um, y'all coaches got y'all working out? No. I'm like, what are y'all doing? We're working out on our own. And those are the type of kids that we had at MLK. And I tell everybody that's why we were so successful because we had kids who were just driven. Like they were driven to be good. They were driven to be successful on and off the field. I didn't have the type of problems that some people have with like the academics and kids, doing silly stuff off the field. Our kids kind of just manage themselves. And I remember when I resigned from MLK, I made the comment that a blind monkey could come in and coach this. So these kids they were great kids. They were great kids, and it was almost like a.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to chumbacasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Well-oiled machine at the time.
So your 4 years there, where did you leave and go to after that?
Well, I was going to South Alabama with Joey Jones to be his DB coach. Like that was the plan. And when I resigned, and went and interviewed, went and saw the house and everything, and wifey wasn't happy. She was like, "I remember when you was a grad assistant that year at Albany State, and you were not home." And she was pregnant at the time with my baby girl, and I was like, I probably need to make a decision if I want to take this job, and I decided not to. So I actually took a step back and interviewed at Wheeler and Duluth High School, and I was going to go to Wheeler. I tell everybody that I was going to go to Wheeler, and uh, went to Duluth and got a chance to meet Bill Navis. And when I tell you, Bill Navis convinced me that Duluth was the place for me to go, it was, and it was. I had some great time those 3 years I was at Duluth, and with Bill and Jason Lane. I just saw Jason's actually retiring this year from being the principal over at Mill Creek. Um, yeah, it was a great time. We were able to do some things at Duluth that people thought couldn't be done at Duluth High School, and it was, like I said, it was just a great time and great place to be.
And Mama was happy.
Oh yeah, Mama Bear was definitely happy.
That's the most important thing.
Hmm.
So after Duluth, 3 years there, you got back in the head coaching chair.
Hmm.
And where was that?
I left there. My mom had a heart attack, and it was a scary situation for me. I was at a Gwinnett County Touchdown Club banquet, and got the call that she had a heart attack, and it kind of changed my mind. And then Jason was leaving to go at the time to Mill Creek, and I just knew Bill Navin was going with him. So I'm like, I might need to take a step back out of here and get close to mom. And if the principal leaving and the AD leaving that hired me, I probably need to walk out the door too. And got a phone call from Dr. Tyrone Smith that Mays High School was open, and literally, like, Mays High School was 10 minutes from my mom's house. And I said, you know what? That's probably a job I need to take. And I ended up going to Mays High School.
What year was that?
2013. 13, I think I'm saying it right. 12 or 13.
Okay. Now, I was at Lithia Springs with Isaac Farrell in
Mm.
04, 05. And then when I was at VR, we went and played in the APS homecoming, and everybody played at the Dome.
Yeah, the Dome coming.
Yeah, the Dome coming, and we played
Uh,
Maze when we were up there, and they were so freaking good. And,
oh, yeah.
and the kids were good, and they affluent. They had money poured into it. I mean, I don't know what it was like when you got there, but I imagine it was about the same. So what was it like when you got there?
Mays reminded me of Albany State. I tell everybody that ML King was a HBCU, and Mays was a big time HBCU. Mays had a lot of young kids when I got there, who were kind of, I don't want to say underutilized, but a lot of them were kind of like playing out of position. And when I got there, I brought a little more structure from the standpoint of, us kind of splitting the kids on offense and defense, and also kind of finding them places. I had a kid who was a corner who ended up playing corner in the NFL for a quick minute. Monquavius Brinson, he was playing linebacker, and I'm like, kid, you're not a linebacker. You look like a corner, so we're going to move you to corner. And he ended up playing corner and safety for us. But another time that I came into a place where I had some great kids, and it was, of course, we had the opportunity to play for a state championship, and um, probably could have won a few more if I would have stayed. So I think that it was a great play for me to go for those 3 years I was at Mays.
So after Mays, where was the next stop?
Oh man, I had to go to Dooley County.
Dooley, right down the road from me.
Yeah, so I came down to Dooley County down there with Jimmy Hughes. Jimmy was in his last 2 years, and he asked me to come down and be an assistant coach for him. And I was like, that's fine, I'll do that. And he knew that probably after my first year, he was going to either step down or the second year. And it ended up being the second year that he stepped down and ended up going to Cordele to be the AD at Cordele. And I took over as the AD and head coach at Dooley County.
Yeah, I live in Hawkinsville, so. And I
Oh, man.
coached at Chris County, and I've been to the Pecan Grove, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Definitely.
we going back over there. I'm at Dodge County now, and they want to play. We're going to play them. I think over there the first time this year. But for those that don't know, Dooley County is a whole nother kind of different. It just is. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Dooley's different. Not
It's
bad
very
different. It's just
It's
different.
very different. It's very different. I
mean,
tell everybody, the kids and the people down there probably 10 years behind everybody else in Georgia.
Yeah, that's small. It's rural. You know, there's nothing there. You know,
Nothing.
even though they're right off the interstate. I mean, you got to go to Cordele if you want to get to somewhere to eat.
Or go to Warner Robins.
Or go the other way. Yeah, go to Warner Robins because you're halfway between. Go to Perry, and that's about it. And they country kids.
Oh yeah, and that's what I had. A bunch of country guys. I call them the Dirty 30. We had about 40 kids. About 30 of them could play. Like it didn't matter what grade they were in. Because I had Fred Reese, who ended up when I left Dooley, who ended up going to Warner Robins and took over when he went to Warner Robins. Fred, played for me as a ninth grader. Like it didn't matter what grade those kids were in. They were tough enough to play. They played. They played every position. My quarterback, he was a single A player of the year, and Bo Lawson, and coach, he'll score a 90-yard touchdown on a run, and say, "Coach, just give me one." I give him one play, like, "Oh, I'm good." Go in there play corner. Because we had 30 kids who could play.
I remember I was in Hawkinsville. I saw Bo live and in person, and Bo was Bo.
Now, Bo was good now. I tell everybody that Bo Lawson probably was the best all-around football player I ever coached, no matter where I've been. He was that good.
Yeah, he was a dude.
He was very good.
But you also had some renegades over there too. But you're gonna have that in.
Oh yeah, definitely down there. You're gonna have some renegades in Dooley County.
And
You'll have a couple.
Yeah, and I just remember telling somebody because your reputation was already so established in the state of how good of a person, how good of a man, and how good you were at building young people. I told somebody, I was like, man, Coach Jarvis ain't going to put up with that mess for too long. He's going to get tired of that and head somewhere else. And you did.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was going to stay at the time. And my frat brother, Albert Lindsay, called me, and he literally told me that he needed me to apply for Lithia Springs High School. I had so many people tell me, please don't take that job, Coach. So many people, don't take the job, don't take the job. You stay at Dooley or go somewhere else. And I just felt I wanted a challenge. And I tell everybody, when I left King and ended up having to go to Duluth, building Duluth was so fun, so much fun to me. And that's what I felt like when I got to Lithia. I was like, no knock on anybody who coached before I got there. I was like, this place is so downtrodden. No matter what I say, I could say we're going to run a 10-man front. We're going to run wing tee with some slash flex bone or whatever. Them kids would have ate it up. I was the best thing smoking for them. I was a little light in the tunnel for their program, and it ended up being a great situation for me. That's why I stayed so long. Like people ask me, like, you had the opportunity to leave here and there, and I did, but I decided to stay because I just felt like it was the right place for me to be, at the time, because it was just a great place. From the administration at the board office with Mr. North, we call him Jerry Jones, but Mr. North is a great guy. Then Eric Collins, who was the district AD. At the time, I had the principal, Albert Lindsay, who left. He's up at Marietta now, and I ended up getting Travis Joshua. Me and him didn't see eye to eye at the beginning, but it was like at the end of the first year or the middle of his first year rather, but the end of that football season, we started seeing we wanted the same thing for our kids, and it took me to kind of see the way that he was doing things in some ways was right, and it took for him to see the way I was doing things was somewhere right, and we kind of met in the middle, and it worked, and we did some things that nobody in the state thought could happen. From going to the playoffs to actually playing a playoff game at Lithia Springs, it was, it was crazy that we actually got a chance, won a playoff game. I forgot we won one, won the first round game against Appalachia that time. Like people just didn't think it was going to happen, and but we had a good group of kids, and those last 2 years, we kind of took a step back, but I knew that if I would have ended up staying, that we could have got it back going. But I got another call to say let's leave here and do the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah, I was there in '03 and '04 and '05, and I know it was probably a little bit different. It was before New Man existed,
Hmm.
but man, I loved that place. I loved them
Oh yeah.
kids. I loved being down in the auxiliary gym, the basketball gym, not the old
Hmm.
gym, because I taught all time health. Didn't nobody come down there and bother me. The kids
Hmm.
did great, and we had just a neat group of kids. Now, basketball kids didn't play football, and our basketball
Hmm.
team was pretty good. And I'd go to
Right.
a basketball game and see them kids, and I'm like, I ain't never seen that kid before in my life. It'd be like 4 or 5 kids walk in, 6'6", 6'7", and I'm like, did they go to school here? Because I mean, they didn't play football; they just played
Right.
basketball. And
And
that first,
I was able to get those basketball kids to play. That's what made us good.
yeah, that
I,
that
I was able to get those guys to play.
yeah, we were not. And in Douglas County at the time, Ricky Dobbs was at Douglas, and
Hmm.
and they were good. Chapel Hill was better than they are now. Alexander was not good.
Right.
And we won 4 games and was happy to win them 4 because we were in the region with, Ricky Dobbs was at Douglas County, Eric Berry was at Creekside,
Oh
Megatron
wow.
was over at Sandy Creek, Woodward
Oh
Academy
wow.
was good, Villa Rica had players, and we were like, well, let's just win Douglas County. Let's beat McIntosh, see if we can beat Northgate, and beat Alexander and beat Chapel Hill. And that's all
Hmm.
we were able to. That's it. So I understand that when you took that job, I was like, what in the world? And then, I saw that y'all, you jumped on big dogs, you scheduled Lee County, you played
Hmm.
whoever, like it didn't matter. And I remember Fabrizio telling me, he's like, he's going to get them right because he's doing it the right way.
Hmm.
And you did. And then you get a
Yeah.
call to come do it again.
Yeah. That phone call. I was I was actually thinking about retiring and going to work at Blessed Trinity with my boy Mr. Ed Dudley, and me and him had talked about me teaching PE and running the weight room a couple of classes I think with the freshmen guys, and I got a phone call from Coy Brown saying I got a spot for you over here if you want it. And I came to KIPP Atlanta and I actually got a chance to see the basketball team. Now, the basketball team over here is amazing. Like the past few years, they have been very good. And then I got a chance to meet a couple of the kids who were young kids, like they were ninth graders, and they were just great kids. I'm like, okay, these kids are pretty real good kids, and almost the same type scenario with Lithia. Just to look at those kids and talk to them, and just to see hunger, especially like my kids as 10th graders now. That group that I met.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Were ninth graders, so they're 10th graders now. They were just so hungry and ready for somebody to come in with structure, from the structure in the weight room to structure in practice schedule, timing. Parents were like, coach, we didn't know what time practice going in, we didn't know when things were going to happen. There was no calendar, there was nothing. Just kind of like it was just, oh, we're gonna play it, fly by the seat of our pants. And when I came in with the structure, the parents loved it, of course, and the kids, they love it because they know exactly what the expectations are. We talk about not having rules. We talk about we got standards, and kids have to follow those standards. And then I haven't even spoke about our principal slash band director, Mr. Baba Washington, as we call him. His real name is Arthur, but we call him Baba. Um, Great guy. He is very supportive. And then along with our district AD, Corey Brown, and our school AD, Nathan Bradley, I felt that it could be a good situation. And, especially with me, they asked me how many I could give them. I said, I can give y'all at least 3. I can give you at least 3 years because, next year will be year 30 for me. And um, I feel like right now definitely, we're going to be a very good team. We're in AAA. We got 20 starters coming back next year. I only had 5 seniors, and you know, two of them played. Out of those 5, one was the punter, and he actually got hurt the last game 9, so he missed the last 2 games. And I just felt like we were going to be, a good team. Um, for what we had, and like I said, we were young. At times, I feel like I was coaching the JV team this year because they were so young. They just didn't know. And the kids are, like I said, they're great over here. It's in the heart of Atlanta, and that's what's crazy. Like it's old Turner High School. I tell the kids like they laugh all the time because where the park is, Anderson Park, is where Turner high school played their JV games. And I tell them I scored my first high school touchdown on that field right there.
Well, I was
Rail
going to
Punters.
ask, I was going to get you to tell me and everyone else exactly where KIPP Atlanta is.
Yeah, it's old Turner High School. If you know the area by Westlake train station, it literally sits right behind there. We're like our kids, a lot of our kids who are outside the district, they actually get on the train. Like it's a bus that takes them over to the train station. Um,
So
it's
what's
a
KIPP
it's a
stand
great
for?
place. Oh, what is it? Knowledge is Power program.
Okay.
So it's a great place. The knock on Kip was we're a high academic school. I tell everybody like you're not gonna come in here and not do your work. That's not gonna happen. You're gonna get put out here real fast if you don't do your schoolwork or you somebody who's a knucklehead. And the knock was that because it's so high academically that they didn't care about athletics, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. The previous coaches, none of them wanted to buy into the academic piece first. And to me, and you know this as well because you've been doing it just as long as I have, that if you're not trying to get these kids to see past football and see life, you're doing them a disservice. And our kids know right now that I care about the academic piece. I sat 3 when we played Sumter County in the playoff game. I sat 3 down because they weren't doing the schoolwork. They didn't do the schoolwork on the day that we were going to the game. And I'm like, you had to go to one class. You do the schoolwork? Like, okay. Call your mama. Tell them to come back. You ain't going with the team. Tell them to come pick you up after school. Because we're not going to do that. That's, to me, that's a standard. You got to do your schoolwork. And our kids, they know that. Like I had kids, we got through a workouts about 6:15. I had 5 kids who were in study hall in tutorial with teachers, coming down at the end like, oh, I got my stuff caught up. I'm like, okay, good. That's what I need to hear. Like I care. I tell them now, I won enough game and lost enough games to know that if I'm not getting them ready for life, I'm doing them a total disservice.
And speaking of that, you've shown everywhere you've been that you're a program builder. Has your secret sauce stayed the same through the years, or has each place been a little different? I mean, when you go in, or this is, let's just assume that this is, you're toward the end of the line, I would imagine, as far as coaching goes, with 30 years coming up. Over the years, has it changed, or have you kept this is what I got to do first? What's the first thing you do when you get in to these places to rebuild these programs?
To answer your question, I think it's pretty. If it was 100%, I think it's about 95% the same. To be honest, uh, I had to change some things because as time has gone on, I tell the kids haven't changed, society has changed, and so some things you kind of had to adjust yourself to, and I've done that. Uh, Everywhere I've been, I had to adjust to where the standards are at that school, and maybe even the clientele of the type of kids that I had. But as far as when I get to a school, I tell everybody that I want to meet, you know, the individual kids. I try to get those kids that's in the building, that's on the team. And I'm just gonna be honest, because we say we don't supposed to say it, but I see it done. I recruit my players. I literally recruit them. Like I'm like, come on in. I need you to join. Get on this bandwagon and come on and ride this wave with me. So these are things that we got to do. It's not, some are non-negotiable, some are negotiable. And if you can do these things, at least to the point where you're about 90 to 95% every day, I can deal with that. I know you're not going to be perfect. I tell them all the time, like, it hasn't been one perfect man to walk this earth. And, he got tormented at the end and crucified. And I'm like, you're not him. So I know you're not going to be perfect, but I just ask you to try to get close to being perfect. And, our kids, and I say our kids, pretty much all the kids I've ever coached have bought into that. And if it comes down to from the weight room, they know right now there's a certain amount of workouts during the off season they have to meet. There's a certain amount of workouts during the summer they have to meet. If they don't get it done, whether it be some circumstances that's out of their control, or it be circumstances where they chose not to, they're gonna have to make up. They're gonna have to make them up. And it's sometimes it be kids like I think about old days of ML King where my starting outside linebacker who played in the Canadian League, Rockman Swain, had to sit out the first three ball games. And same thing happened here this year. Starting quarterback, he had to sit out the first two games because he didn't get enough workout. And he didn't finish the stuff that I asked him to do by the time we played him. And I'm like, okay, you're just gonna be standing over with me, buddy, looking good. And to me, those things are non-negotiable to me. But I think that with time, my flexibility has become a lot better. Because sometimes I used to be, I laugh at my nickname when I was at ML King from the board people and some of the administrators that knew me and knew how I ran the program, because they used to call me Little Hitler. I hate that name, though, but it's funny now. It wasn't funny then, but they were like, Jarvis running like he's Hitler over here. He's Little Hitler. And I think about how maybe sometime I was just not flexible enough for some of my kids, and I might have lost a kid or two that way. So when I say that those things, that's how I changed a little bit, because I became a little bit more flexible. Clay Hill taught me that. I didn't listen. And then at the end, he ended up telling me, "You better be a little bit more flexible because these kids and these parents, sometimes you're gonna have to meet them somewhere. And if they're a kid that you want on the team, or whether it be a good player or just a kid you're trying to save or help out, you're gonna do some things that you might not originally wanted to do. So I think that I've adjusted to that, and that's made it a little better for me and for a lot of the kids that I coach. I tell them all the time that probably my first 2 years at King, I think I told the kids that I love them maybe 5 to 10 times, first 2 years. But by the time I was finishing up at King, and like now the kids say at KIPP that I typically tell them I love them at least once or twice a day.
With age,
Some of them, some of them is forced out. I have to hit myself in the back of the head and tell them I love them. But a lot of them is and that's in the majority. And that's it jokingly, but but the majority of the kids that I teach and that I coach, I tell them I love them. Like love you, boy. See you tomorrow. Love you, little girl. Be good. Don't get in no trouble. That's kind of a Corey Jarvis testament or statement that gets said to kids pretty much every day.
well, with age comes wisdom.
Yeah,
We,
definitely.
when we were young coaches, we still grew up under the people that hollered and fussed and cussed and carried on, and
Hmm.
you could get after kids, and if their mama and daddy found out about it, they got just as mad at them as they did, you know, as we did.
Right.
And now that's changed to where, oh, you ain't gonna talk to my baby like that, and
Hmm.
so you have to find different ways. So, what are some things that have changed as far as how you approach spring football practice and the way you structure your summers over the years?
Well, spring football typically, I think about the first spring practice that I had at ML King, and it was just like how we started at Mary Person. We started off straight Oklahoma, knocking each other out the first day,
Junction
and that was.
boys.
Yes, like it was straight. Like I just remember them college scout coming up like, "Good Lord, coach, you ain't gonna let them warm up." Nope, we going right at it. And uh, I kind of got away from that. Uh, it's funny that the more you coach and the more you talk to different people on how they do different things, and like you said, probably the older and wiser you get, you like, okay, I might have got this kid hurt, or this kid might have quit because he's like, oh Lord, I can't do this. So that's the first thing that changed. So we don't start with Oklahoma. Do we still do forms of it? Yeah, but my kids who like I've had what 4 different kids who played for me who also have coached with me. Like Coach Jarvis don't change. Coach Jarvis don't change. He doesn't we don't even tackle. I think the most we tackle is probably the first 2 days, maybe in pads. And I'm a stickler for not bringing folks down at practice anymore because I just seen kids get hurt and lose them or hear horror stories of other people losing their better players that way. So like we don't hit. So um, spring they our kids don't even get pants anymore. They get shorts and jersey and that's pretty much what they're in. I think spring is now for just teaching, whereas in the past I used to think that it was we got to be tough. We got to be tough, and so spring is a little different. I'm actually doing spring a little different than I've done ever this year. I've listened to my buddies Terrence Banks, former coach for me, Johnny White over at Douglas County. I listen to them, and they split their spring practices up into like 3 and 4 weeks to get more time with their kids, and I'm doing that this year as well. So it'll be a first for me, and I kind of like it the way the structure is set up because I get more chance to watch film with the kids, get a chance to still work them out, and stretch out that 2 week deal into like a 3 to 4 week deal. So I actually like it. So that's going to be a little different for me. Summer, the structure as far as the days of working out are still the same. Like we still go Monday through Thursday. Like Bob Spire tried to get me out of that those days when I was at Duluth and went to Mays because I think Bob at the time, I think they worked out Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday or something like that. They took one.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Day off during the summer, and they did a lot of 7-on-7 stuff, of course. So we still go to 4 days, but I do a lot of 7-on-7 and camps for the kid in June, so I can get my kids exposure. So that's changed. We did a lot of 7-on-7s and went to camps when I was at the different places, but like this year, I know we're going to Georgia Tech, West Georgia, UGA, like we always do. Uh, we're going to a lot of 7-on-7 this year, and yeah, last year I got kids like they were like, "Wow, coach, I know we was gonna practice, but I didn't know we were gonna do them in the 7-on-7." So the month of June is pretty much 7-on-7 in camps. The OTAs, I like them from the padded camps, but I don't like to do too many of them. I'd be so afraid of them getting your kids hurt or going to one that's not ran well because I've been to a couple that wasn't ran well, like especially when I was at Dooley. We went to I think the Terrell County one, and it was I wouldn't say it wasn't ran well. I think the other coaches didn't explain like, this not this we're going at it, but it's not real football. We're not trying to hurt other kids, and it actually ended up being a bad situation. Thank God we were able to get our kids out of there without something happening. But I've heard horror stories from other places where fights and all that kind of stuff broke out, and I just don't want to be a part of that. So a lot of times I choose not to. My boy Kenny Dallas, I saw you went on ahead and stepped down and did what me and him talked about 3 years ago, and going to his pastoral phase. We did a lot of like OTAs where we didn't have on pads. Like we just wanted, because we didn't have that many kids at Lithia, and he didn't have that many at Trinity Christian at the time before he went to Hebron. Um, we did, just some control stuff against each other, to where we, got a chance to go against another team, but we took care of each other, from the time like we fed up when they came to Lithia because one time we went there and the other time they came to us, we fed them, and I kind of took that from him, and we did it this past year with Arabia Mountain with Coach Miller over there, and Douglas with Coach Pritchard and we did it with someone else. I'm forgetting somebody. I know Douglas Arabia Mountain, but to me, those are because you get a chance to see other kids and get a chance to go against other teams, but it takes the physicality out of it, especially when you talking about sometimes kids getting a little bit too aggressive and with the pass or like all we have on is helmet and shoulder pads if we're doing the OTAs and like I had we went to FCA camp like we've always done and we'll go again this year and like we had some team like do you realize that we don't have on pants and y'all hitting kids in the knees? Can we stop doing that? I'm not trying to hurt nobody kid. So um, that part has changed from the camp aspect and probably like I said just the physical part and then in the other part where uh Taryn Banks was like thank God Corey Jarvis finally got some sense. We don't do those 2-a-day football camps anymore. We stopped that probably about 5-6 years ago and I was gung ho about doing camp overnight camp. We got to stay camp. The last one I did was my first year or second year at Lithia and I just don't see a need anymore to do that. So those are things I've changed.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that OTAs are great if you're going with folks you know.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
like the old days when we first started doing 7-on-7, what I liked about it was your bunch would come over to play my bunch on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And if you motioned from doubles to trips or trips to doubles and my kids screwed up the coverage, I could say, hey, coach, can
Let's
you
do that
line that
again.
back up
Yeah,
and show that
yeah,
to us again? And it was great because you serviced each other. And it wasn't
right,
like we're trying to win the OTA.
right,
And if you get with the wrong crew, you right. You get some folks over there today, it turns into, if you don't have a quick whistle or, you don't have a coach paying attention, if you don't let the offense control the whistle and
right.
I know it just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting soft in my old age or if I'm just figured out that it's really good if you would folk,
Yeah. I agree. It's definitely with folks,
because you can control the action.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some things about the game? You've been in it a long time, and I don't mean the X's and O's. I mean the high school football game that's changed, good, bad, or indifferent, that you notice from when you started to where we're at now.
Oh, I think I guess taking out some of the physicality, you know, I think it's a good thing from the aspect of protecting the kid, but sometimes it takes away from the game a little. And we had a situation this year where we ran a punt return back, and I remember back in the days of setting up these little crack blocks and all that kind of stuff on these walls, and now you can't do it. And like I had a kid, and he was a little overzealous, little ninth grader, and he had a shot on the kid, and he took one, and it was clean in our eyes as far as old school play, yeah. But when he hit him, I said they're gonna throw a flag. When they threw the flag, all my coaches was screaming and hollering. I'm like, y'all, we can't do that anymore. Y'all know, like I tell them all the time now. When we're setting up our walls, we just shield, y'all. Don't just shield. Don't crack back on anybody. We can't do the old school stuff that we used to do back in the day. And your parent probably told you, or your daddy told you, or your uncle told you what they used to do, or even what I used to do, because I told the kids I was notorious for crap blocking in college, and um, that part is over, and I like it to a certain extent because, like I said, I'm a stickler for concussions. I believe kids who have a concussion, we got to get them out the game. We can't let them play. We need to go through all the different protocols because I had 5 concussions playing, and I know that the serious nature of it because my last one stopped me from playing football, and with our kids trying to protect our kids. I think I think from that perspective it's good, but I think sometimes it needs to be a little less, I guess, uh, strict in some ways. But I don't know if you could do it because it'd be too much gray area. So I guess the rule is good and we leave it as it is. But I just at time I don't like it, but I understand why.
Well, coach is somebody who worked their way up from the bottom and spent 6 years at Chris, spent 4 years at Mary Persons before you got your first head coaching job. What's some advice you would give to young coaches now that are getting into business about, how to approach the craft and how to approach working with these young people?
The first thing is just, th- you got to be a good assistant coach to me to be a good head coach. I think some of us forget that, and I say some of us, but I'm just saying coaches in general, and it's typically the younger coaches. They want to be a coordinator immediately. I had a guy, I just remember he was like a first year coach. He like maybe coached 2 years at a place, and he like, coaching, I want to be, can I interview for your offense coordinator? And I didn't want to be, you know, rude to him, but I was like, you haven't earned the right to be a coordinator yet to me. I think about the years down in Cordell working up under Jimmy on defense, and then coming that year at Mary Persons, and working up under Stan or Coach Hickman, and I was I felt like to be a good head coach, you had to be a good assistant coach, because you don't understand until you get in that seat all the thing that the head coaches, take because of assistant coaches. Like the thing, like, you're gonna laugh, but this is something I say all the time. Like, y'all assistant coaches get me in meetings all the time,
Yeah.
and like, and it's the truth. I'm like, y'all don't understand that I have to bite these bullets for y'all, and the days of being a good assistant coach sometime I think are gone. I think because I think we want to be that coordinator, or we want to be a head coach, and we don't want to kind of work our way up. And it's no knock on anybody, but I feel as though when you earn your way through up through the ranks, and it still should be the same way. I know you got some great, younger coaches. Like, I tell everybody right now, I love hiring young coaches. They'll tell you, right, like my staff right now, besides two people, are 10, 15 years younger than me. And some 20. Some I would have coached probably 2 or 3 times in high school. Yeah, I love younger coaches because they have great ideas. And, with me being the old man on the staff now, as I like to say, I don't like to be running up and down the field anymore, screaming and hollering. I like to watch the young coaches do it, because I was like, oh, he remind me of me.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get those younger coaches who are willing to do the things like, go put the equipment up, go clean the equipment room. How about volunteering and washing the clothes? How about volunteering and lining up the field? I just remember those days of, oh, hey, Coach Saver, I cut the grass. I just remember those days. I mopped the floors and like everything. I did all that stuff. And to me, I felt like that kind of, being a little humble made me a decent head football coach, because I know that I had to work my way up. And the next thing is, when I got guys who were up under me, I wanted to make sure they understood the things that they needed to do to be successful, be a coordinator, and be a head coach. Because my guys will tell you, every single one of them who coached up under me, rather, if you didn't have aspiration to be a coordinator or a head coach, I didn't even want you on my staff. And I know you got some people who satisfied with being an assistant coach, but I feel like, to me, you got to have a little aspiration to be something else besides an assistant if you're going to be a great coach. And to me, when you talk about those type of guys, those type of guys, I would love on my staff. But sometimes you don't find too many who willing to do those things. So I just think about some horror story with some of the younger coaches I tried to bring on, and it just didn't work out.
Well, guys that are listening, if you want to hear more stories like us two old heads sitting here remembering the good old days, uh, Sun Coaches Retreat will be March the 14th. It's a Saturday. We're having it at South Forsyth High School. It's $50 for your staff to come and join us. There's going to be 8 different schools from each classification. They're going to share and fellowship with one another, and it's just going to be an old school sit around and talk ball. We're not going to have any college coaches telling us how to coach those 6'5", 240-pound, 4'5" edges that we are fresh out of. There's not going to be any exhibits. It's nothing like that. So if you want to come and hear people like Coach Jarvis and and myself and other guys just sharing and talking about ball. Make sure you check it out and register so we know how many people to prepare to feed. And Coach, I tell you, I sure have enjoyed listening to your story and when, over the years, keeping up with your career. You're I don't just say it to blow smoke. You're definitely one of the most respected guys in the business, and how much you pour into kids and your ability to rebuild programs and build them up and leave them better than you found them. I just appreciate you and appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us.
Well, I definitely appreciate you having me on, and you know, it's always good to talk about the good old days, and anybody who's willing to listen, because I've had some good ones that I got a chance to coach up under, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.